Good day. This is JavaScript tutorial under the form and validation. You may be wondering that what is validation? You make use of it every time you make use of it almost every time you are accessing a web page. Look, for example, now look at what we have here inside this registration form. You will discover that by the time we enter all this field, once we click on any of this, as you discover that once we do not put any value inside this thing, you discover by the time we click on register, you discover that an alert will just be using that password no enter, email no enter. But let's say we even write something here, and what we write here does not tally with what we have here. It's still going to tell us that the password you enter does not match. So all these kind of things, we make use of JavaScript to create this kind of validation. Validation is in essence that maybe you want to validate your web page. Maybe you are a programmer and you always want people to register to enter their first name. But there are some users that maybe due to the fact that they want to be fast in filling the form, they may omit this field of first name and they will just jump to the surname. So by the time they click on register, you should have a program that will bring them back to saying they should enter their first name, so that they will be able to enter the first name. So that is what we refer to as a validation. And there are two types of validation. We have the basic validation. Example of the basic validation is the types whereby you ask people maybe a form field is empty. Let's say a form field is empty and they click on register button. You expect it to tell them that choose login, first name no enter. You expect them to list all this, the value, the field that is not enter in your form. So this example is what referred to as the basic validation, whereby you validate the web page because a particular field is not entered. So the second example that we have is the data format validation, and what that one is talking about is this time around they've entered the value, but we want to validate the data of what the user enter. The first one is like they did not enter anything and we are trying to validate it that please enter this so feed. But right now in this example now they've entered something, but we want to validate what they enter. Example is what? This phone number now. Although I've entered something now, but what I enter now is a text, is not a digit. A phone number must be in form of a digit. So this time around my JavaScript should be able to validate this web page and tell me that the phone number you enter is invalid. Like right now, if I enter an email address like this and I enter this also as my email address, my JavaScript should be able to validate this web page that the email does not contain @ and does not contain something.com. So it should be able to tell me that this email is what? The email I wrote before is an invalid email. So when you validate a data that you put inside your text box, then we say that you are doing a data validation. But the validation that does not require anything data, maybe for example now you put an empty space and you are trying to register, is to tell you that surname no enter. So this kind of validation is what we refer to as the basic validation. But when you are trying to validate a data, something you already place as inside the feed, you are trying to validate is maybe is invalid or maybe it's not invalid. Maybe it should be length of 10, maybe it should be lesser than 10, maybe the length should be like just 2, maybe the user now enter 3 lengths or as in enter like 5 lengths. So you should be able to validate that okay, this thing is not correct. So that's what we talk about, the data format validation. So let's run an example. This is just a simple form. Let's create a new file. Let's name it form.html. This is just a form. This is just a single form that contains this is just a single form that contains this is just a single page that contains a form, and that form will make use of the input as in text field. Can you see the input type text? We make use of different text field. The email, we name the text field. The first text field name. We name the second email. Note the name starts with capital letter N. The email starts with capital letter N and capital letter M. We have another text field named zip, and we have a submit button. As in we have a option or select field. We call it country. So this is the country. So let's run this and see what the output, what we are going to have. But there's something you have to note here, is that when the user submit a function, the submit button, when they submit the button, you see that under this open tag of form, we have an event called on submit. Once the user click on the button, submit button, the on submit event is going to open a function called validate function. But look at it now in this example now. Under our JavaScript, we don't have any function called validate. We don't have any function called validate. So that means nothing is going to happen in our form. So let me just say this is simple form. This is just a simple form, because we said that by the time they click on submit button, we ask it to open a function, say a function validate function. But right now in our head, we didn't have any in our under our JavaScript. We didn't have any function that says validate. So this is just a simple form. So right now on our form now, what do we name our form? We name our form my form. That's the name of our form. The first text field, we name it name. The second text field, we name it email. The third text field, we name it zip, and the fourth text field, we name it country. And we have a submit button. So let's save this and run our program. So I'll go to my site, form.html. Can you see? These are the fields that we have. So if I click on this now, you discover that nothing is going to show, because it will not find anything called validate function, because there is no validate function in my file, in my form.html file. But another thing that I want you to understand is that whatever the user enter right now is the value for this text field. Note, all these box that you have here, this text field that you have here, has a naming, a naming that is distinct. The name of this one is name, the name of this one is email, the name of this one is zip. A naming that is distinct. The naming of this one is name, the naming of this email is email. All this that you are just seeing is just a label. I believe I've explained to you in HTML. It's just a label, what the user is going to see, but computer are not seeing this label. So what the system is using to differentiate this text field from this text field, that's whatever user enter in this field to differentiate to the text field and to differentiate from the text field is the naming of each of all these things. So the naming of this one is just the name. So the whatever the user enter by this particular time in this text field is what we refer to as the value of this text field. The name of the text field is what? Is the name. So whatever the user enter is what? The value for the name text field. This one is the value for the email text field. This one is the value for the zip text field. And whatever the user, this time around user will not be able to enter anything, but whatever they select here is the value for the what? The text field country. So that's, just have it at the back of your mind there. And the form is what? Is my form. And what you have here now is a web page. They call it a document. Is a document. So right now, let's start our first basic, let's start our first validation, which is the basic validation. And I believe you understand what a basic validation is. We've already said that by the time the user click on submit button, it should open the function using on submit event. It should open the function validate. So these are our function validate. So let's just copy this function. The reason I would not want to copy HTML open tag and HTML JavaScript open tag and JavaScript closing tag is because we already have them. So I don't need to include this because we already have it scripts. We already have it here. So I will just copy my function inside it. So this is the function we are lacking before. So this is the function what? Validate. So what my program will do is that immediately the user click on the submit button is going to open function validates. So it will look for function validate in my function and to validate my page. So let's save this and see what we have. Let's save this, save it and run your page. Let's refresh this page. Note, before you see any changes, you have to refresh whenever you just save something. So if I click submit now, what is telling you to do is that what is going to run, as in if I click on this submit button, what this program will do is that it's going to run the function validate, because in my code I've said I want on submit events. I've said on submit events on my form it should open validate, so it will now open validate. So it will be reading it line by line. This function validate, it will now read it line by line. If look at it, documents is talking about your web page. My form, my form, that's a there is a form that is named my form inside your documents. There is a form named my form. Is that true? Can you see? There is a form named my form. And I say my document dot my form, a form inside my form. So there is now a feed. There is now a feed inside your form, my form. Inside your form, my form, there is a feed called what? The naming feed. The name feed. Is that true? Can you see? There is a feed, a text box, a feed that is called what? Is name. So in that said dot value. That's it. Whatever I've told you that whatever the user enter in this name feed is what referred to as value. Dot value. So that means all this line of code now, all this janties, all this big line of code, what it just means is what is meant is what the user enter. It's just talking about the value. It's talking about whatever the user enter in this place. So here now, document dot my form dot email. There is a email feed in your form. So the value, whatever the user enter in it, is what this line of code is talking about. The line of code is just talking about whatever the user enter here. So right now, look at our code now. When I say if whatever the user enter, I believe I've explained this, is empty. If whatever the user enter is empty, that's it. If the user, whatever the user enter in this feed, look at it. If whatever the user enter in the what? In the name feed, because I've told that whatever the user enter is what referred to as value. And whatever the user enter, that's the meaning of value, in the name feed is empty. Where is the name feed? The name feed is here. We know that our computer recognizes this place as the name feed. That's why they declare it here. Can you see? They declare it name. The text box is declared name. So the computer recognizes this feed as the name feed. So when I say that if whatever the user, that's why we make use of value. If whatever the user enter at the name feed, if it's empty, what do you ask you to do? You ask you to open a pop-up box. That's the meaning of alert. Please provide your name. So that means if the user doesn't enter anything in this feed now, and he click on submit button, it's going to say what? Please provide your name, because the user does not does not enter anything. The text feed, whatever the user enter here is empty. That's why it's brought this. So whenever you see document means the web page, in this web page now from .html, we have a form named my form, and under my form we have a feed named name, and that feed, whatever the user enter at that particular time, is known as the value. So if the value of whatever the user enter at this name feed is empty, it should give this error. The same thing applies to this. The same thing applies to this. If whatever the user enter at email, the value of whatever the user enter at email is empty, it should say this. So even though the user enter this but does not enter this, it's still going to say please enter your email. So that's the alert we ask it to enter. That's the alert we ask it to enter. Then the next thing is this. But note, this one, the structure of this is more different from the structure of this, and the reason is because we said if whatever the user enter at the feed of zip, if it's empty, and this sign means and is a number. Let's say whatever the user enter is a number, is not an integer. This thing it means is not an integer. If whatever the user enter is empty, it should alert please provide the zip in the format. Let's enter something empty. It's empty now, Abby. Let me submit. Can I say please provide a zip in the format? and we put and plus. Even though they enter something, if what they enter is not an integer, that is the value of the zip, what the person enter in the zip is not an integer, it should still give this error. Can you see? It still give the error. And again, if what that's value.zip.myform.chemical, if what the user enter, I say whatever the user enter, that's when we talk about the value. If the length of whatever the user enter, the length, that is the length of this is what? Sorry. The length of this is what? Is 3, because it has 3 character, 3 letter. This is 5 letter. So what we are trying to say right now is that if the length of what the user enter, because zip value means what the user enter, if the length of it is not equals to 5, whether it's greater than 5, whether it's lesser than 5, it should still give this error. So we already know that our zip code is always 5. So if the user type the alphabet instead of digits, it will give an error because this is not a digit. And if the user enters something that is lesser than 5 digits, it will still give an error. If the user enters something that is more than 5, it will still give an error. But it's only when user enters something that is a digit and which is not up to 5, that is when our program is going to run without error. So you will see that the validation of this now is very, very different from the validation of this. So this one is just validating only the basic validation, where this is validating the basic validation here, that is when something is empty, and it's also working concerning the data you have. That means it's working concerning the data you have from here. So we can say this line of code now, we can say it's used the basis validation, and it's also used what? It's also used the data validation, because here there's nothing inside the text box. It uses the validation of if it's empty. But here it now use if something that the user enter, if it's not an integer, it should give an error. That's the data, because it deals with the data that the user enter. Here also it's talking about that if the length of what the user enter is not equals to 5, that means it's talking about the user data. So this is what we refer to as the data validation. And the last one now, you see I have told you that a text box, what was it called? A select box is something that you can select from, and this one is applicable in case that, like this now, if I say that I should use a text box as in my country, somebody can just write Nigeria, and maybe I don't want a Nigerian citizen to register in my site, so that will be a problem there. So in that case I have to use a select box, so that I will just preset the value inside it, so that the user will not be able to change it. They can only use one of the values that is present in it. That's the meaning of a select box. But this choose yours is not a country. This choose yours is not a country. So we should write it. We should also validate our program so that if somebody should use, let me use 5 integers, so that we will not have error. We didn't have problem with this. We didn't have problem. We didn't have problem with it. So if I click submit button now, our problem is only this, because this choose yours that we write now is not a country. So if I click submit button, this thing is not supposed not to submit, except I click on USA or any of these countries. That's when this form will be submitted. Although we didn't have problem with this, we didn't have problem with this, we didn't have problem with this. But if we do it this way, we have problem with this, and that's why it's given please provide your country, because this is not a country. Other things that are here is what we refer to as country, but this is not a country. And how do we achieve that kind of validation? We name all these country positive things 1, 2, 3 as our value. We are still using that value way, but under the choose yours here, we name it a negative. We said it's -1. So what we just do in essence is that if document.myform, you understand this .country.value, that's the value that the person enter at that field country. But this time around, it's not as if the person enter the value. The value is already what? Is already preset. When you talk about select button, user are not entering it with them with their hand. It's already preset. And what is it preset for? The value for choose yours is already -1. So this choose yours that we are seeing, the value is -1. The value for USA is 1. The value for UK is 2. The value for India is 3. So we now say if the value of the country that particular user filled that time is equals to -1. And note, when we are declaring value -1, we use choose yours as -1. Let's say if the user choose because the value is -1, if the user choose yours, then it should alert, please provide your country. That is why whenever the user choose yours as their country, it will ask you to provide your country, because this choose yours, the value is what is -1, and we have said that if what the person enter for the country field, if it's equals to -1, you say you should ask for the country. So that's what it does. But if we decide to use any other country apart from choose yours, then our program will run. Can you see it's loading? Our program will run. So that is just about the basic validation. But no, it's not only basic validation that we do. We do basic validation, and we also do some data validation, but it's not really complex data validation. Example of data validation is starting from here, where we check whether what the user enter, whether is an integer, and where we check whether the length is not equals to 5. So that's just an example of. So let's do a real data validation, and this time around we want to validate email, because the user already entered the email. So whatever we do with the email that the person enter, the value of what they enter is now a data, because it deals with data. It's a data validation. But right now we want to place it in another function, and we want to call the function validate email. So it can still be in JavaScript, but it just be in another function. So we can still place it here in another function, because this one is already in our function, and this one can still be in another function. So this time around, we don't want to validate name, we don't want to validate zip code, country, we only want to validate email. So no need of saying that the on-submit event should be validate, because validate will validate all this. But the only thing we want to validate is the email. So we ask it to open the function validate email. So we ask it to open the function validate email. So now what this is just trying to talk about is, let's save this and run our code. Normally the on-submit event I'm using now is validate email. Let me refresh this. So whether I didn't enter them, whether I enter them, it's not going to do anything, because I've stopped using that validate. I'm using validate email now. So my concern now is email. So if I click here now, you see that this is not a valid email. So there should be an error that will tell me that the email you enter is not correct. Can you see? Please enter a correct email address, because email address only has @ and it always have dots something. So, and this is not present in this email, so that is why you see that error. So, and even if I didn't put anything inside it, it's supposed to tell me that I did not put something. Please enter correct email ID. So right now what they do a basic authentication, that's a basic validation, and they also do a data validation. So if I do it this way to tell me that please enter the correct email, so I did a basic validation there. So if I type something that does not have @ or full stop, then it will ask him to enter the correct email ID. So that's a data validation. So let's see how they arrive at this data validation. Right now I'm not using the function I asked it to open. Once they click on submit button, the function I asked it to open is what validate email. That's why we don't concern ourselves with this function up. We only concern ourselves with this one. So right now we create a variable, name it email ID. Document.myform, I believe you understand this. Whatever the user enter for the email is what referred to as email.value. Whatever the user enter in this email. So right now we now say if whatever the user enter in this email is saved with email ID, we create a variable to save that. We now say if the email ID dot index of @, that is if the value, that is whatever the user enter, if it does not contain @ and does not contain full stop, we ask it to what? To echo this. That's just a minute. Do you understand what I'm trying to say? What I'm trying to say in essence is we use function validate email. Right now we create a variable, we name it email ID. We now say whatever the user enter as the value of that email, that feed, if it does not contain @ and it does not contain full stop, it should say please enter the correct email ID. And that is what happened now. If this thing does not contain @ and full stop, it will still this. Even if it contains that and does not contain full stop, it will still give an error. So this is just the validation. But it's possible for us not to use this. It's possible for us to want to validate the name, other thing, the name, the zip, the country, and we also want to validate the email, this email, using this data validation. So how are we going to do that? If I were you, I would just remove this function. You know, this thing is having open parenthesis, so yeah, it starts to end. So I will delete this, I will delete this. So I will now cut this, I'll cut it. So this time around, I will now look for where I validate for email here. I validate for my email here. Yeah. So I use this normal basic validation to validate for my email here. So I said that if, like I already explained, if the value of whatever the user enter for the email feed is empty, it should pose this error. But if it's not empty, let's say if they have typed something, it should keep on validating email. And what do we ask it to validate? We have to validate whether the email is a correct email or it is not correct. Here now we ask it to validate if they have entered something, anything. It will be anything. That's what we ask it to validate here. But this time around on the function, but we are not using the function again now. I've erased that function now. I have merely turned it to a test. So right now, if it validates this now, if they have put something inside it may be anything. So this code now is now going to check if what they put inside this place that makes it not to run this code, whether it has at or it has full stop. So if it does not have, it's going to say please enter correct email ID. So but if it has at and full stop, it's going to jump to this other line. So but right now, our on-click submit event now, what is it going to have? Our submit event now, what is it going to have? Our on submit event is going to run validate email validate email function. But note, I've already deleted the validate email. I've merged it up with the validate. So I've matched the validate email. I've merged it up with ordinary validate function. So right now I will just change my on submit event. I will change it to what? Validate function. I'll just save it, change it to the validate function. So let me run this code and see what will happen. So I have combined the data function and the data function and the basic the data validation and the basic validation. I've combined them together. So let me say this one is correct. This one, normally I've chosen everything correctly, but this time around the email is not a invalid email. So I should see please correct email ID. Please enter correct email ID. So until I have a valid email, this thing is not also a valid email because it does not contain full stop. Can you see? You still tell me to enter. So until I have fullstop.com, so my program is going to run there. So that's just it. So what I just do mainly now is this validate email. Normally I've already validated email in the first place. I've already validated my email in this example. But the only thing is, what I'm just trying to validate then is just if that I should make sure that user enter a value for the site. Normally what I'm trying to say is I've already validated email here. I've already validated my email here, but what I validate here is just to make sure that the phone feed email is not empty. That's what I make sure here. You understand? But right now I match another email validation. And what this one will do, this kind of validation now, is going to know whether the email has the email that the user enter in this slate, whether it has at and full stop. So what this one do is just did the basic validation to know whether you enter something. And what this one did is what it works on the already enter value. It works whether it has at or it has full stop. So that's when you refer to as the data validation, because it's work on the already existing data. So that's what we refer to as a data validation. So before they are in different functions, and then I've tried it, it has worked. Right now I merge them together and it still work. So there are various other examples here, and I believe you can practice them yourself. So they are very example, and please just go through the theory. Just go through the write-up so that you have the more knowledge in the theoretical aspect. So another thing I will have to tell you is that please always make sure that you don't use much JavaScript when you are creating a web page, because there are some browser that doesn't support JavaScript. So if you create almost all your web page with a JavaScript, and maybe one of your users is not using a JavaScript, and you are trying to use document.write to write something in your web page, the user that is viewing that that page at that particular time, since the user doesn't know much about JavaScript, the user may find it difficult, as he may not be able to see some of the things you created with JavaScript. So that is why it's very, let me say, for example, now when I create this web page now, let's say when I create this web page now, let's say everything that you are seeing here now, let's say it's written by JavaScript using document.write. You know that if a user doesn't, if a browser doesn't support JavaScript, and I run this web page, you will discover that all these things that we are seeing here, they are not going to show. And if they didn't show, how will I be able to know what each of all these fields, what they represent? So that is why it's very, very good for you to use limited JavaScript, so that your user, by the time they are viewing your web page, they will be able to have they will be able to still be able to access the web page, even though some things did not show due to the fact that they have disabled their JavaScript. So you can just, as a user, you can just tell them how to contact their whatever browser they are using. You can just tell them. So thank you so much. Have a wonderful day.